What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live. Today we got a lot of NBA news to talk about. We didn't talk any NBA news on Monday, so we got to catch up from NBA topics for the past week. That is what this stream is going to be. We'll also take your questions on various things, and we are open to taking questions from our mock offseason participants if you have any about how the mock offseason is being ran. So we got a pretty chill stream, nothing too fancy graphically or anything. This is just a stream, an off-season stream where we can kick back, relax, and chill with you guys, the community. That is what's on tap. Eric, how's your day been going, man?
Oh, pretty good. Had a nice day with the kids. Enjoyed the sunshine and ready to talk some hoops after some crazy couple days of news around the league.
Yeah, it was a crazy yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into everything that went down with that. We're going to talk that coaching carousel, and we're going to talk some head coaching candidates and whatnot. We're also going to talk a little bit about the playoffs as well. Hope everybody's days are going well. What do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the coaching carousel? I'll let chat decide, actually. Chat. What do you guys want to talk about? You guys want to talk about kind of the coaching situation around the entire league? Do you want to talk playoffs first? Do you want us to answer your questions first? Whatever you guys want, we are down with. So let us know in chat what you guys want us to start off with.
Coaching. Trades, Mavs, coaching.
The Mavs are coaching, I assume. So,
Mavs drama.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's basically part of the coaching thing. Yeah. I mean, you have Rick Carlisle leaving the Mavs. You have their GM leaving. There was reportedly a rift between Luka Doncic and, was it their GM or their president of basketball operations that Luka had a rift with?
It wasn't either. It was this guy, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Vulgaris or something.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he came in and during COVID just kind of took over some of the operations and actually overrode some people during the draft process, I guess, and it kind of made Donnie Nelson and some other people. I mean, I don't know how much I buy that. Cuban said it was BS, but then, Donnie Nelson gets fired the next day, and then, but then they also let go of that Vulgaris guy too. So I don't know what's going on. And then, yeah, today after Cuban gave Carlisle the vote of confidence that he was not going to get fired, he steps down, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was very surprised that Carlisle stepped down, but it sounds like there's some turmoil in Dallas that hadn't really bubbled to the surface until very recently. If they beat the Clippers in the first round, you might not be hearing about any of this, any of their drama, right? But they lose in the first round. They're up 2-0. Not only up 2-0, but they won the first two games on the road in LA. Can't win one of Game 3 and Game 4. If they won one of Game 3 and Game 4, they probably win the series, but they basically kind of collapsed. Even though they were the underdog, they should have won that series after going up 2-0 on the road to the Clippers.
3-2.
And they were up 3-2 as well, and they could not get the job done. And when you have something like that happen, a lot of the underlying tension will bubble up to the surface, and I think that's what this situation is. I think that is what's happening there in Dallas. It creates another head coach opening. And right now, I believe there are 7?
Yeah, there's 7.
I put 7 logos in the thumbnail. I try to put every logo in the thumbnail that had a coaching seat open. And the thing is like a lot of times the coaching seats that are open are bottom feeders. Maybe an OKC or a Chicago Bulls team. The Magic are kind of back to being bottom feeders. They're one of them this year as well. But normally it's like you'll have 6-7 openings, and most of them will be lottery teams or teams like on the fringe of the playoffs. But you have multiple legitimate playoff teams with openings for their head coaching position, which has made this offseason's kind of coaching carousel extremely interesting. I mean, Boston's open, Dallas is open, Portland's open. Indiana's been a playoff team for multiple years until this past season, and they probably only missed it because of all the injuries they had to deal with. Washington made the playoffs last year. You got a lot of legitimate playoff teams with coaching openings, and it's going to make the whole coaching carousel extremely interesting.
Yeah, there were some rumors that Carlisle might be in line for the Bucks job if it becomes available. If the Bucks win this series, though,
Another playoff team.
Yeah, I don't see the Bucks getting rid of Budenholzer unless they lose Game 7, which we'll get to later. But yeah, so maybe he preemptively just thought he was going to get that job. Yeah. So I guess we'll start with, what are your thoughts on Carlisle in terms of if the Blazers pursue him? Should they pursue him? What would be your feelings on it if they actually hired him as the next coach?
Mad.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever I watch the Dallas Mavericks, I feel like I'm watching the Portland Trail Blazers. Mm-hmm. And that's because they have a super stagnant offense, they run a ton of drop scheme, and Carlisle seems to struggle to make adjustments. Those are my three biggest complaints with Terry Stotts. And when I watch Rick Carlisle, granted, I don't watch him super often, so maybe there's games that I'm not seeing where, he might be switching things up, but I have read some Mavericks fans that watch their team game in, game out to say the same thing. Drop scheme, stagnant offense, and no adjustments. Aren't we trying to get away from that? His defenses have sucked the past few seasons. He has not been a good defensive coach. Isn't that what we're supposed to be looking for? So for the people that want Rick Carlisle, they want him because, he won a championship a decade ago when the league was completely different than it is now. Okay, Terry Stotts was the offensive coordinator of that team that won a championship a decade ago. That's how you know the NBA is a lot different now than it was in 2011. Okay, that was 10 years ago. Right? So I don't care what he did 10 years ago, 15 years ago in a different league. People just want him because of his name recognition, because he's won a championship as a head coach back in 2011. It's a bunch of people that aren't looking at, okay, how does this coach get his team playing? Or what is this coach's philosophies, right? People aren't looking at that. They're just looking at it on the surface. It's Rick Carlisle. It's good old Rick Carlisle. He, casuals think he's a top 10 coach. If you just look at things on the surface, you would think he's a top 10 coach just because he's been in Dallas for 13 years, won a championship. Yeah, resume-wise, it's solid. But in terms of when you're looking at a coach, in terms of their philosophies, what they do on the court, how they get their team to play, he is literally Stotts 2.0 if we hire him, in my opinion. And we need to move away from that. We don't need to replace Stotts with Stotts 2.0.
Yeah, so the difference in my mind between Stotts and Carlisle is one of the better coaches at recognizing that his assistants have positive attributes and allows them to kind of control certain areas. And he was one of the first to kind of bring an NFL philosophy to the NBA and have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. And that worked out for him in a championship level with Stotts and Dwayne Casey, who obviously both of them went on to be head coaches at, and took teams to playoffs, had deep runs, both made Western Conference or conference finals, Casey in the East, Stotts in the West on their respective teams. So if he had a great assistant on both sides of the ball and deferred to them, I could maybe see it being an okay hire.
Yeah, Eric,
it's probably not going to happen. Yeah,
Eric, if we hired you and got you phenomenal assistants,
right,
I'm sure it'd be fine. But see, I don't want to hire a head coach hoping that the assistants can do the job for him.
No, I'm not saying I don't want Carlisle. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's the only way. Because I will say, Stott seemed he had a really good assistant, Jay Triano, who left after a year to go be an assistant with Phoenix, basically the same position. We had a really good assistant in David Vanderpool, who leaves to go take a similar position with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I think that was Stott's biggest fault through all this. He'd never had the assistants and never had the guys who could just tell him, look, this isn't working, dude. We need to try something else. And if he did have those people, he ignored them or didn't listen to them, and then they got mad and left. So the only thing that makes Carlisle different, in my opinion, is that I feel like he recognizes that. He had Steven Silas on his staff until he was hired by Houston a year ago, and he was a really good defensive coordinator for him. And so I do like that Carlisle will actually listen to his assistants and use what they say as part of his philosophy. But yeah, the similarities to Stotts are just too much to make me want to be excited about that. And quite frankly, I think it's kind of dumb that people are like, if you don't go after him, that's a fireable offense and things like that. Like it's gotten a little crazy with some of these people.
I mean, yeah, but those aren't the people that actually take a deep enough look at things in the first place. So their opinions are irrelevant to me. Yeah, the only retread I am comfortable with us hiring is here's what's funny, since you brought up those people, right? If I say the name that I'm about to say as me being comfortable with us hiring him, those people would say, oh, you're a moron, you'd want that guy? Yeah. What? But the reason why
the same name I'm gonna say too.
Yeah, the reason why I want this
Alfred
retread is because of the philosophies that he'd bring, the way he'd coach this team, in my opinion. He's a good defensive coach. He's told Dame explicitly that Dame needs to play more off the ball, much like the Warriors utilize Stephen Curry, so that he's harder to guard in the playoffs. He's basically said a lot of things that, we've said that the team needs. And that guy is Mike Brown. Not a flashy name whatsoever. Rick Carlisle is a far flashier name, so you have all these people that look at things on the surface like, why would you want Mike Brown over Rick Carlisle, right? It's like Rick Carlisle is the very pretty girl, 10 out of 10, right? But then personality-wise, she creates a lot of issues for you. But your boys are saying, oh man, she's a 9, she's a 10. Go out and date her, But personality-wise, it's not a fit. Okay, and then there's this cool, this is a cool girl that's also pretty, maybe not a 10 out of 10, but her personality is perfect, and she's perfect for you, and she's the one you should marry, right? That's my analogy for this, right? That I think is a good analogy for this. Rick Carlisle is a flashy name, the pretty girl at the dance. Mike Brown would be the one kind of standing in the back that nobody's really noticing, but if you got to know her, That's my analogy.
Sherman asked if you think Mike Brown is pretty.
I knew you guys would have fun twisting this however you want.
But yeah, so I completely agree. I mean, I don't want to retread. If we were, I would agree. Mike Brown, it would be at the top of my list as well. And I agree that if we went on Twitter and said that, we would get clowned. But this guy actually worked under Kerr. Has learned a lot from that, has never had a bad defense in the NBA, no matter what his personnel was. I mean, he had LeBron for a good portion of that, but he went to the Lakers and had a good defense there as well, even though he got fired. But, to me, this is why I don't want Carlisle. I'm sick of the coaches who have been around for years and years and are still running schemes that they ran 10 years ago. You have to adapt. You have to keep up with the change in the game. The game is completely different than it was 10 years ago when he won the championship. Yet he's still running his same offense. It came out in the playoffs, so what was it? Rondo said, I forgot who it was. Someone who was on the team in Dallas was like, oh, yeah, I recognize all these plays. It was Brendan Haywood, I think. He's like, yeah, they ran the same plays as when I was there. And it's I don't want those kind of coaches that are too stubborn to change things. They're too slow to adjust. They don't think they have to adjust because their thing has worked in the past. And that's not saying Carlisle is a bad coach. He's done a great job. Maybe not, since the championship. But he's a good coach. I just want someone in here that is going to go down if we're going to lose with Dame. At least knowing we tried everything possible we tried a different scheme, we tried different defense. If your system wasn't working, we weren't just oh, what do you want me to do? I don't have the personnel, that kind of crap. And Like, oh, Derek Jones, he doesn't impact us one bit, whether he's on the game or not. So what does it matter? I don't want those kind of coaches. I want the coaches that will grind and not give up and just do everything possible, try every single thing, the Nick Nurse types that throw out a box and one in the finals or like, just do crazy things just to figure something out and see if you can maybe steal a game here and there or
Yeah.
not be predictable. And I feel like Carlisle will come in and just do the same crap Stotts did, and then we'll have a similar coach, so all the terminology will be similar to what Stotts had, and it just won't be a different enough approach for these guys to really blossom the way they would under a coach that just came in and was like super excited to get his first job or super excited to have an opportunity to coach Damian Lillard and come up with all these crazy schemes to get him open and good shots.
Yeah, I mean, I want the coach who will prepare his team offensively for any sort of defense that they might face so that they're prepared for whatever teams throw up against them in the playoffs. That's what Monty Williams did with this Phoenix Suns team. They are in the Western Conference Finals. They've won 7 games in a row. They swept the same Nuggets team that beat us in 6, okay? And Will Barton came back in that series too. I want that coach. I don't want the coach to sit in here and say, yeah, we're going to run our offense our way no matter what, and we're just going to trust that it'll work. It's what we do. Yeah. No, I don't want somebody that coaches along those lines. Okay? I want somebody that'll prepare the team for whatever a defense throws at them so that the team and the coach are very comfortable and very ready to just adjust to whatever a team throws at them in the playoffs. That's what you have to do. Okay? Because here's the thing. There is no defense, if you have like good offensive personnel in today's game, which is so offensively driven, as long as you're doing things the right way, you should consistently get quality shots. Okay? The only way you're not going to get quality shots is if you're playing against a good defense and you're not running things offensively the right way. Now, running things offensively the right way depends on what the defense might be throwing out against you. If you're getting trapped to death, you don't keep running pick and rolls. But if you're playing a team that's dropping the big, you run pick and rolls and Dame can pull up for wide open threes off of it. You know what I mean? But if they start trapping and they got an Anthony Davis, a Drew Holiday, or whatever, you adjust to beat the trap. Okay? That's the thing. And that's the problem that I had is Stotts did not adjust offensively. In the playoffs, we just have stretches where, I don't know, we score 20 points in 16 minutes to end our season in Game 6 against a mediocre Denver team. And that's because we're not running our offense the right way. It's super stagnant, super slow, super, isolation heavy, pick and roll heavy. I don't want that. And that's what I see with Rick Carlisle's offenses. And I don't trust that would change with him coming here. So I don't want him.
So, yeah. This is my biggest thing. In the playoffs, we saw Aaron Gordon, that I forgot what game that was. It was game 2 or 3, where he switched on to Dame in the second half and basically just took him out of the game because we didn't really do anything other than have Dame attack him or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we didn't run him off ball. So after the game, we have Dame sitting there saying, if that happens, I need to play off the ball. I need to come off screens, run him around, and get open that way, right? And so Dame knew what he had to do against it. Stotts, that same evening, says, we knew they were going to do this at some point, so we have to look at film and figure out what we're going to do at that. And it's like, no, you should have already known what you were going to do. You should have had that implemented into that week you had off in between the series starting, so when they did do that, because everyone knew they were doing that, including Stotts, and he still didn't have this team prepared or have a situation where if this happens in a game, this is how we're going to attack that. No, it was like, oh, once they do it, then we have to figure it out. And that's dumb. And I don't like coaches like that. They don't have their team prepared. And we need a coach that is going to prepare these guys for all these situations. And it's not like this is the first time we've seen a situation like that. This happened year and year again, over and over again, and is the reason why we can't ever exceed our expectations in the playoffs, or we get swept or gentlemen swept so many times, is because we do not have these guys prepared to see different situations. We just think our one system is going to work against every team, and that's my biggest fear about hiring a Carlisle or a D'Antoni or one of those guys who has his system that he's ran for like 20 years in the NBA because they've had success with it. They think that it's good enough to win in any situation, and I'm just scared that we're going to bring in someone like that, and it's going to be a situation where we're seeing, maybe it's a different problem, but we're seeing the same problem constantly because we're not switching it up because the coach really thinks it'll work out eventually.
Yeah, and people say like Carlisle was a safe hire, and getting somebody unknown is a risk. I don't follow that line of thinking because you would essentially be bringing in Carlisle hoping that he'd change from his ways the past 3 years. I think that's a risk. You're bringing him in. You don't know how he's going to coach, and history says that he's going to coach a lot like Stotts, and you're trying to bet on him being a different coach than he's been. That's risky. Compared to a guy who's like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and he has the right philosophies and right ideas, I think that's less risky. Because all it comes down to him is if he's able to like properly teach it, properly coach it. At least his mindset and his heart is in the right place. Whereas if you hire a retread like a Rick Carlisle, who's shown in the past few seasons that he's a lot like Stotts, you can't even bet on him having the right ideas, the right mindset, the right philosophies. So I don't understand how Carlisle is the safe pick and an unknown guy is the risky pick.
Well, and then what do the people always say they want Olshey to do? Take risks.
Take risks? Yeah, I'd rather take a risk at having a great coach than settle for a good one. And I don't even think Carlisle would be good for us.
Yeah, your point's interesting, Tori, because say we hire Carlisle and he does the best job he could possibly do. I don't think that's like, I mean, yeah, it's safe, and yeah, it might be slightly better than Stotts. We probably beat Denver this year, probably losing the second round. Like, yeah, it's a little better. But to me, I'd rather swing for the fences. Maybe you get lucky and you hire a Becky Hammond or an Ime Udoka or someone like that, and they're just born for that position, and they just take off with it, and it raises your ceiling that much higher because you have a coach, Chauncey Billups, so you can throw him into that mix too. Just like you find someone that is just the perfect person for your team, and there's not like a ceiling on it. Like you don't know. It could turn out really bad. It could turn out really good. But the thing I don't get is people want Olshey fired, right? So why would they want him to hire a good coach, right? Wouldn't they want him to like mess up that hire so he gets fired? Because if he hires, it's kind of like the thing you and I went through all season. Like, do we want the Blazers to lose in the first round? Because there is a silver lining of Stotts being fired if it happens, but at the same time, we want our team to like go far in the playoffs and have a chance to win. So for them, it should be hiring someone with high risk, a first-time coach or someone with little experience. Either they get what they want and that coach sucks and Olshey's gone because there's no way he could survive making a bad hire. Or they're great and the Blazers are good and the ceiling is raised because we have a coach that's actually doing the things we've been asking for. So Gordon calls it, from now on, it'll be known as the Stotts conundrum. So I'm with you. I don't want this to be a safe guy. Like if Budenholzer gets hired, I don't want him. If Carlisle is the guy, I don't want him. This is why I don't want D'Antoni. I just want a guy who we're either going to hit a home run with or it's going to fail miserably. And at least we swung for the fences instead of just like, oh, let's just make a safe hire so we don't screw anything up type of thing.
Yep. Let's talk other coaching candidates because Becky Hammond continues to get thrown out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you saw this, if you heard the same things, but I have a guy that I trust on Spurs stuff, and you might know who I'm talking about. Eric, he basically was the guy who broke that Aldridge was being bought out like a few hours before it even happened.
Mm-hmm.
And he's said things about Becky Hammond that makes me not want Becky Hammond. That
I've not heard any of this.
Yeah. So I've heard stuff about Becky Hammond that makes me shy away from her as a coach. Like obviously people like Becky Hammond being hired would be a transcendent hiring as the first head coach in the 4 major pro sports that is a female, right? When it comes to talking about Becky Hammond as a coach, I don't consider her gender whatsoever, right? I've heard stuff that makes me not want her as a coach. Nothing to do with her gender, nothing to do with any of that. I want the Blazers to hire the right coach. If that's a female, cool. Then hire the female. Hire the best coach, regardless of gender. That's how this should go. Okay? But I've heard stuff about Becky Hammond as a coach that makes me not want her as a coach.
Do you want to share, or is that something you can't?
Like, if I shared, I don't remember some of it off the top of my head. Just that the Spurs organization is laughing that teams are laughing at the fact that teams are considering her to be a head coach, and that she's kind of lazy and egotistical is kind of how it was thrown out there. I don't know. There was more to it than that, so that's just paraphrasing, but that is what I heard from a Spurs source that I trust, coming straight from the Spurs organization. Like, that's what somebody within the Spurs was saying about her. So maybe it's wrong. It's just, it was kind of surprising when I read it. But it's from a source that I trust.
The thing is, you got to be careful, because there are those like male people who just refuse to ever think that a woman could do that job correctly. So
yes.
It's I don't know. I mean, it could be true, it could not be. That's why the interview process is very important. And because who would you hire? It's like, I'd want to be able to talk to these people. It's really hard to like give a name without being able to hear them in a conversation. But like I'll throw Dawn Staley into this as well, because she's a name that has been mentioned, the coach of South Carolina, who's done a great job there. And I've actually heard Kara Lawson, the Duke coach. I think she played for. Did she play for Duke or UConn? One of those two teams. She was really good back in her day. But anyways, I heard she was a candidate for the Boston job. So with any of those, if any of those 3 women get hired, you would think that they would want to do everything possible to overcome any kind of narratives about them, or not just be like, oh, I made it, I got hired as a female. So I think, I don't know, it's hard, like I said, without even knowing anything about the background you said, or being a part of the interview. I would hope that if one of those 3 was hired, that they would be more like one of those people I was talking about that were out to prove something and would not stop, and you know, they would try everything, versus the coaches who would just be like, oh no, I'm going to try this way, and if it doesn't work, I'm just, screw that, I'm just going to keep doing it, you know. So I find it hard to believe that any of those 3 would. I mean, it's certainly possible, but I would really like to be a part of that interview, or at least a fly on the wall to hear what she has to say.
Yeah, Zerker just quoted what I read perfectly. So it was posted in not like a private place, so that's why I can share it. And I think Zerker is from said place as well in regards to the Becky Hammond stuff. But yeah, that's the thing, is like you don't know it 100%, and that's why you got to interview them, and that's why you got to try and get a feel for if something like that is true or something like that is not. In my position, all I can do is kind of speculate based off of what's being said. So I don't know. When it comes to Dawn Staley, I don't know much about her whatsoever. If she has the right ideas, if the team feels like she would get this team playing the type of basketball that they need to be playing, in my opinion, then hire her. You know, it's that simple. It's just kind of tough on the outside looking in, because it's just like speculating on, okay, would this coach be getting the team to play the proper style of basketball?
Yeah.
You know, so that is the tough part in our position. Like, the number one guy that I want is Ime Udoka, and he might be a terrible coach. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But, like, just based on what I know about him and kind of where he's been an assistant coach, and everything I've heard about him, that would be my number one choice. But it's just speculation. He might be terrible. I don't know. So that's the thing. You don't truly know as an outsider. You don't know anything. You don't know, like, the full picture of any of these candidates. Mm-hmm. So that's what the interview process is for. But Ime Udoka right now would be my number one choice, which Chauncey Billups probably number two. Ime Udoka is a guy who's from Portland, a defensive-minded guy. Seems like a guy who would do a good job, like, commanding the players' respect and attention, holding them accountable. Ime is a guy who has coached under Popovich up until recently. Now I believe he's in Philadelphia. So he's coached under Pop. Pop has a very ginormous coaching tree. We've seen what Pop has been able to do in terms of getting his teams to move the ball, to move players, just to run a great modern style of offense. So I'm hoping that Ime could come in, be a good defensive coach. He was a good defensive player, get the players playing hard for him, hold them accountable, and then offensively he'd be able to do some of the things that we've seen Popovich do. Obviously, different wrinkles to that because he's coaching a different team, but that is my number one target for those reasons.
Yeah, just for the record, Ime is now with the Nets. He did leave the Spurs to go to the Sixers, and now is on the Nets.
Okay.
Yep, was passed over for the 76ers job last year, which maybe is a red flag. I don't know. It's funny for me.
They went with Doc Rivers. If they went with like some complete unknown, then maybe. But they went with Doc Rivers.
What's funny for me is I played in a rec league with Ime Udoka, and to think of him as like a head coach is just kind of funny to me, but like that was like 20 years ago, so like what do I know? But like I mean, another guy you gotta interview him. I will say that Billups definitely has more like cachet and probably automatically step in without having to like earn that respect. He probably would garner it right away. But yeah, so that doesn't mean Udoka would be bad. You don't have to have a former player to be successful as a coach, which both of those obviously are. Mike B, he dominated that league. Of course, it's like a rec league in Oregon. He was playing in it, talking crap to everyone. But anyways,
Shervin's dropped something interesting. Hold on, sorry, I was texting him. Shervin's dropped something interesting on Ime. He said, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that Ime Udoka recruited Aldridge to San Antonio, so Olshey hates him.
Oh.
It's possible. Sadly, it's possible.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting part about that is the theory is Olshey wanted Aldridge to leave, right? He didn't want to re-sign him, so wouldn't he be thanking Ime Udoka then?
That's a theory?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who came up with that theory?
I don't know. It's not like he didn't want him because I bet you can guess who that has.
It's just probably the Pinwheel Empire side of Twitter, huh?
Yeah, plays with Edge.
So it's BS.
Yeah.
So it's BS. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good old Pinwheel Empire theory, man. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know, because, like, if they don't interview him, that's fishy to me. If they don't, like, consider Ime Udoka, because it's like every team is considering Ime Udoka, it seems like, except for us. He hasn't had his name attached to us at all. So if he's not considered at all, that might mean you're right, Shervin. In that maybe Olshey holds a grudge against him because he recruited Aldridge to San Antonio.
Yeah. That's kind of weird, though. Like, I mean, I know some of the interviewees have come out, but then it's like right in the middle of us, like courting Spoelstra and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's weird who we've interviewed so far and who we haven't heard of, like on those lists of people who we're planning on interviewing.
Yeah, the Spoelstra, I would love Spoelstra as the head coach. More concerned when it comes to if he's also the GM, but if he has good assistant GMs, that can kind of make that so not too much responsibility for him, then I think it could work. But Spoelstra as the head coach, I would love. Obviously, that's kind of been reported as dead. But it was Travis Demers that said it was dead, so I don't know how much to believe it. Nothing personal against Travis Demers, but it's like no local reporters have any sources that have helped them break anything. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure he talked to somebody he trusts, but this organization is so tight-lipped that anything that gets leaked, I don't know whether to believe it anyway. Remember how last year it was like, oh, we might draft Jay Scrubb in the first round, and then we passed on him for CJ Ellaby in the second round? Like, I don't know. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's 100% dead, because I haven't heard anything other than Travis Demers saying it, and I'm not going to 100% believe that. I think most likely it's dead. I'm assuming that was probably right, but I don't know. That whole situation was kind of weird with how that went down.
Yeah, and I mentioned this before we fired Stotts. If I was in charge of the coaching search, the first thing I would do, I would call Pop, Nurse, Spoelstra, just see if any of those people are willing to consider leaving their current position. The worst they can say is no. It doesn't hurt to ask. It actually, like, sometimes is flattering to people that you're actually calling them or whatever. But, you know, in the Spurs situation, you kind of said the opposite earlier, but everything I've heard is that they're grooming Becky to be the, like, coach in waiting for Popovich. So maybe instead of letting her go to another team, we've seen that happen, like with the Ducks situation, where, you know, instead of letting Chip Kelly go to another school, they you know, politely ask Bellotti to step aside so Chip Kelly can be the coach or whatever. And so maybe that's the case there. Like they just were, maybe you could catch them at the perfect time and get a Pop. Or maybe this rift between Jimmy Butler and Spoelstra is just like the perfect situation where Spoelstra is like, oh, you know what? I'm from Portland. I went to college there. Maybe that's a good opportunity for me to move on and show that I can coach like a team, like take this team. Because honestly, if you're a good coach, like people say like, oh, who'd want to inherit this mess? Like that's the narrative now. But like if you're a good coach like Spoelstra and that's the narrative, if you're able to take that roster and make them a contender, that makes you look like an elite coach. So like there are some coaches who will accept that challenge and want to have that challenge and don't necessarily need you know, he got kind of lucky when LeBron and Bosch and those guys joined Wade there in Miami. But like there are coaches who want to prove that it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that I had those guys when I won the championship. I want to prove that I can take a team and make them a championship contender. So it doesn't hurt to ask if that's a good time to do that. And then there's also Sherman posted another thing about the Ime Udoka thing. But
yeah, he's posting a lot of good information here. Basically, Ime got Aldridge to San Antonio, according to Aldridge. Aldridge said that Ime got the deal done. So, I mean, it's as simple as, well, should I have a grudge against Ime for that?
Yeah. That's like, that goes with like the Pritchard didn't trade us Paul George because he had a good one. But, anyways, and then Nick Nurse, I mean, yes, they won a championship. He's revered there, but like he had that blow up with Siakam this year, and you know, maybe the team's going to go in a rebuilding direction, and maybe, I mean, Nurse is still a young enough coach to be a part of that, but maybe he wants to go somewhere else and we can work out a deal there. But I'm not saying any of those situations are likely, but those are three scenarios where it's at least worth inquiring about. So then when we actually comes out that maybe we were interested in Spoelstra and now like the narrative switched from, oh, that obviously, or that's a good hire, to, oh, that obviously means Olshey is out then, and there's a riff in the front office because he wouldn't hire someone like that. You know, like that's so stupid to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick Nurse would be my number one choice.
Right.
Maybe even over Popovich. Like, but yeah, I mean, you got to swing for the fences here. If it's not a guy like a Nurse, Pop, or Spoelstra, make it an unknown coach. Yeah. You've had some unknown coaches, and Nick Nurse wasn't known before he got hired. Steve Kerr had never coached before he got hired. So make it one of those guys, because you got to. And I've said this before when it comes to players, but it applies to the coaching hire. You have to try and raise this team's ceiling as high as possible. Okay. Therefore, you need to hire the coach with the highest ceiling possible. Now, some people are worried that, if you hire a complete unknown, then it could go bad and things could spiral out of control. Well, I think that if we don't win enough, things are going to spiral out of control anyway. So you might as well swing for the fences and try and get a coach that can raise the ceiling of the team to championship level. The only way I think Dame leaves is if he believes that this team will never give him a true chance of winning a championship. If you raise the team's ceiling to a championship level, you're giving him, even if it's a small chance, you're giving him a true chance of winning a championship. And I think that's what Dame wants. So you go for the unknown coach, or you go for a Nurse, Spoelstra, or a guy like that, an elite coach in the league that many people don't have leaving their team. That's the way to go at this point.
Yep. And for the record, Dame came out, said he was, or he's going to be on Team USA. Finally, we get to, I hope he doesn't back out or something doesn't happen between now and then, because I want so badly to watch Dame play on Team USA. I think it'll be great to have Dame see a new coach and a new style, and that coach is Greg Popovich. And Dame is on the record as saying he can't wait to actually be coached by Popovich for that experience. And so that's going to be really cool. But
Dame should recruit Pop. Let's go.
That's what I'm saying. This is where in the past we've seen guys get friendly with each other and learn new things. And the Redeem team or whatever, all of those guys got better just being around those guys that summer, and they all came back. You had a guy like Tyson Chandler come back, he became a defensive juggernaut after that, and things like that. So I'm excited to see if Dame can pick up some things just being around elite players like a Draymond Green maybe on defense, or if Steph plays, they can kind of feed off each other and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be really cool to see. But yeah, just throw that out there. Hey, Pop, we could be doing these things in Portland this year if you want to come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, get creative, try. There's no point. There's no downside. I agree with that. Anything else coaching-wise, maybe other stops or other candidates that we haven't mentioned that you want to talk about?
Well, we did interview D'Antoni, I guess.
Yeah, no.
I'd throw him in the same thing with Carlisle. So, yep. I want someone who is not stuck in their ways, and yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Steve Kerr is an assistant, and so that's the other thing. They're going to use Dame off the ball because everyone has to play off the ball when you have that good of players on your teams, right? So everyone's going to play off the ball. So Dame could learn some things about playing off the ball, and that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to, is him learning how to play off the ball and maybe picking up some things from a Steph Curry in that regard, and a Steve Kerr coaching wise. Hey, do this in this situation instead of just running pick and roll.
Steve Kerr gonna want to help him though.
No, I know.
You don't want Dame learning, man. You don't want Dame learning that.
I mean, we talked about this earlier, but Mike Brown is part of the Golden State coaching staff, and he actually reached out to Dame and tried to get in that same situation. I think it was a USA minicamp or whatever. The same situation. He reached out to him and was like, "Hey, man, you need to do this if you want to take that next level." And Dame didn't really respond well to it, but being coached by them in that situation, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to that and what that could do for Dame.
Yep, agreed. All right, let's talk playoff action. Which series do you want to talk about first, Eric?
Let's talk about the one tonight.
Okay, so you got the Bucks and Nets going to a Game 7. That's going to be interesting. Who are you rooting for in that Game 7, Eric?
I knew you were going to ask me this. So
you should be prepared, right? Don't be Terry Stotts saying, I knew they were going to put Gordon on him. Now I have to think about it.
Here's how I feel. I want the Bucks to lose so they think they have to make a major change, i.e. trading Middleton. But I also don't want the Nets to be rewarded for, what they did and building those three together like they did. So, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, go Bucks. But, yeah, it's, I don't know. It's one of those thoughts conundrums again. I'm fine either way, I guess, or not fine either way. But,
yeah, I mean, we have enough options out there for CJ that, I don't know, if they don't trade Chris Middleton, there's a chance that they lose and they keep Chris Middleton anyway and think that it's just firing Budenholzer is what they need to do and replace him with a better coach. It's like they take the Nets to a Game 7. Now the Nets have been injured, so the Bucks have had a little bit of luck that way, but it could be a situation where it's like, dang, we took Brooklyn to 7, we get a better coach, we're winning that series. And then they keep the team together, maybe add to it a little bit this next offseason. I could see that being the case if Milwaukee loses this game. So I'm rooting for them. Eric, think about it.
Yeah.
We are close to having a Milwaukee versus Atlanta Eastern Conference Finals.
That's so crazy.
One win for both those teams. I guess we'll talk about the Atlanta series next. It's just absurd, man. But, we're a couple games away from having a Phoenix versus Utah. Now, Utah has to win Game 6 and Game 7. But you could legitimately have the Final Four teams being Phoenix, Utah, Milwaukee, and Atlanta. The fact that that's possible, 2 of those teams were lottery teams this past offseason. One of those teams was a first-round exit, and one of those teams got eviscerated in the second round last year by Miami in 5 games, right? Was it 5 games? Or was it? Yeah, it was 5 games. Dude, I mean, that's encouraging if you're a Blazer fan looking at this offseason and kind of the position that we're in. I mean, you hire the right coach, you make the right moves, that could be you next year.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA is wide open right now. I would love to see a team in our situation with a superstar player that decided to stay with Giannis. I mean, Giannis is a lot like Dame in that regard. He decided to stay. Everybody was talking about, he's going to leave. He could leave. Where would he go? Where should he go? Yada, yada, yada. They might make the finals. I want them to win Game 7. Because if they win Game 7, I think they will be favored in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh,
it would be cool because they're a lot like us. They have a lot of similarities. Small market, kept their star. If they end up making the finals or winning a championship, that's a great thing for all small markets, in my opinion. And Game 7, they're going up against the super team. It's the small market versus the super team. The small market that kept their star.
How much of the super team's playing, but
yeah, it's the small market that kept their star versus a super team with 3 stars on the roster that assembled themselves much like the Miami Heat did and the Lakers with LeBron and AD. I want to see the small market win. 1,000%. I want Chris Middleton, but I want the small market to win. Because the NBA's wide open right now, tons of parity. It's what I've always wanted, is to have no idea who's going to win the championship and for small markets to have a legitimate chance. So I got to root for Milwaukee.
Yep. Yeah, it's. I mean, they certainly kicked their butt tonight. That's 2 games that in this series where the Bucks haven't even cracked 90 points, or the Nets. I mean, yeah, pretty sad. For Harden, I don't know. I mean, he wasn't terrible tonight, but he's just not good either. I don't know if they can count on him. So, I don't know if Kyrie's going to play. That's just a weird situation. And Kyrie's someone that hasn't been super dependable. The one year he was fully healthy, the Cavs win a title, But other than that, he's throughout his career has been someone you can't really count on. But yeah, it's. I don't want the Nets to win, but if they win Game 7, I don't see many other teams that can stop them if they're healthy or get healthy. So, yeah, I think this is kind of the last hurrah for any teams that want to stop the Nets.
Yep. Yep. Do you think Atlanta gets it done in their series? Do you think they win their second round series against Philadelphia?
Man, if you would have just asked me that, like, without watching the games, I would say no, because, like, there's no way they should beat Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 76ers are just so mentally weak. And it's I mean, poor Doc Rivers, man. I don't know if it's his effect or what, but that guy.
I mean, it's Doc Rivers choking another series. I mean, they choked last night, man. The serial choker in Doc Rivers choked another playoff game and can't get to the conference finals since leaving Boston. I mean, that's kind of his legacy now.
And I don't know, like, so many people are intrigued by Ben Simmons, and I know, I mean, I don't want to speak for you fully, but I know you. I haven't been as high on him as most people. I don't think you have either, especially in terms of fitting with Dame or whatever on a roster. And I think we're finding out why we feel that way. It's like the dude, he won't even shoot the ball, like, or he can't even shoot the ball. He plays hot potato with it. He wants to get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. Like, he's almost unplayable down these clutch situations. And I mean, at least Giannis shoots it, you know, like, he might miss sometimes or whatever, or, you know, not make his free throws, but at least Giannis is, like, trying to score and trying to do stuff. Like, I feel like Simmons, like, doesn't even want to touch the ball in the fourth quarter. Like, he's scared to mess up. And I don't feel like you can be a elite player in the NBA if you're scared to fail. You have to be willing to take the shots. You have to be willing to live with the misses if you miss it. And I just feel like he doesn't want to mess up, so it just, like, messes with his brain. And I don't think players like that. I just don't think you can win a championship with those kind of players being one of your best players.
Yeah, he shoots with the wrong hand. I've been saying it for years. He says he's right-handed. His father put the basketball in his left hand since he was a very young age, and he's always shot with his left hand.
Yeah.
The dude is. You watch the dude finish around the rim. He's right-hand dominant.
Right.
He's very good with his left hand. Some might call him ambidextrous. But he prefers to finish with his right hand. And he looks much more comfortable finishing with his right hand. But he shoots left-handed. And his shot almost looks like he's shooting with his weak hand. His non-dominant hand. I mean, it might be too late for him now. But if he got brought in his rookie season and he was out, because didn't he miss his whole rookie year?
Yeah, he misses his entire
the whole year, teaching him how to shoot right-handed. the dude is more right-hand dominant than left-hand dominant. But he's always shot with his left hand. He will never be a shooter. And for all the people that really wanted Ben Simmons, I mean, this is kind of one of the reasons why I wasn't clamoring for Ben Simmons. Like, he makes sense for us in the right system. He didn't make sense for us in Stotts' system. Okay, imagine, like, bro, Derrick Jones Jr. got parked in the corner. I mean, Ben Simmons is more, obviously, much more dynamic with the ball and whatnot, but I don't know, every forward we've ever had gets parked in the corner. Norman Powell comes here, gets parked in the corner. I mean, it's Terry Stotts and he loves his threes. How do we know Ben Simmons ain't going to get stuck in the corner? You know, and then when our offense gets stagnant, Ben Simmons isolations, that's what people wanted. I mean, we were better off with CJ under Stotts than Simmons, believe it or not. And part of that is because of Stotts' crap system. But then the other part of it is like, dude, you got a guy in Ben Simmons who's just, I don't know, man. You see these stars, these forwards struggle in the playoffs. And it's like the game is different in the playoffs. So you have to put some importance on that.
Well,
and Ben Simmons has done it. Giannis has done it. Giannis is like hopefully kind of overcoming some of that, I guess. But I mean, Ben Simmons is your number two. He can't really play off Dame super well. He's been struggling during this series. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people are high on him, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't think about going out and getting him. I'm just not as high on him as a lot of other people are for a bunch of small reasons like that.
Well, here's the problem, right? he can't play off ball. We all agree on that, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't want the ball though. So what do you do with him if you're Portland? Like you have him play off ball with Dame, or run pick and roll, I guess. But then like if you pass to him out of that, if Dame gets doubled, then he's like gonna just like give it up right away and hope he doesn't get fouled, so he doesn't have to go to the free throw line and shoot 20% or whatever. And like so he needs to go to a fast breaking team. But the problem is, what team that relies on fast breaks wins in the playoffs? I don't know if it's ever happened. So, like, you have to be able to play in the half court. You have to have a good system. You cannot be scared to shoot. You have to make your free throws. And to have a player like that, that's not a big man, that's your ball handler, who the other team's best strategy is probably to hack-a-shack them. Like, that's horrible. Like, I don't know, like, why any team would want that. Like, I mean, yeah, great regular season, it's fine. It's kind of like all the problems we've had in the regular season. This like, oh, we have the number one offense in the regular season, and then we get into the playoffs, and like most of the time it doesn't work quite as good because we're playing better defenses. So I'm sorry, Caleb corrected me, shooting closer to 30% than 20%. I was just like, yeah, my bad. But yeah, so the only reason to me a Simmons trade makes sense is because there might be a team that values Simmons more than they would value CJ. And so if you can make that trade work and then flip Simmons somewhere else for like a Siakam or something, and then Toronto gets someone who's 3 or 4 years younger, and that's an interesting fit with some of their shooters and defenders they have there with an OG and Van Vliet and stuff like that. So Gary Trent, and maybe they move up in the lottery and get a Mobley or something, and that's a really intriguing situation.
Thanks for the ideas.
Yeah. So in my opinion, you make the trade because Simmons has more value, even though he's completely like choking in these playoffs. But I just have a hard time pairing Dame with Ben Simmons moving forward and thinking that's going to work out.
If anybody wonders why I said thanks for the ideas, I got the Blazers in our mock off season, so we'll see. I'll keep you guys posted on that. Follow if you want to stay up to date with some of the mock off season moves. Join our Discord. I will plug the link right now in chat for you guys. Where's my? Okay, there's my tab. There you go. Join the Discord, and or follow at Woj Mock. I'll just plug the link for the profile. We got a fake Woj. It's obviously fake, all right? We're not trying to, like, scam anybody. So we got an alien Wojnarowski Twitter account. Shout out to Krish for some of the graphics he's been doing for that account. It's pretty cool. So we're going to tweet out everything that happens there as well in our mock-off season. And then we'll cover some of it here. But, yeah, Ben Simmons, I mean, I would rather have... If you're trying to win next year, I would rather have Tobias Harris on the team than Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
Long-term, Ben Simmons is the better asset, but if you're trying to win in the next year, 2, 3, I'd rather have Tobias Harris. He's a much better fit with Dame. I'm not sure he's worse than Ben Simmons at this point. I've always thought Ben Simmons was overrated. I think Ben Simmons' defense is overrated. I mean, Trae Young has had a very, very good series. He should be... Was he first team all defense?
Yeah.
Where's the first team all defense defender in Ben Simmons slowing down Trae Young? Every time I've watched this series, it's just like... I don't know, I just come away thinking Ben Simmons is overrated defensively. And I've thought that for a while. Like, I'm sure there's deflections or steal... Like, I'm sure there's stats... Maybe some advanced stats that back up him being a great defender. But I've never watched him and been super impressed with his defense to the point where I would put him on first team all defense. You know? And shoot, maybe I did in our awards picks. I don't really remember. But, like, I don't know. I've always thought he's overrated defensively. He's hard to make work. Right now, you can hack a Simmons in the playoffs. I don't know. He's a fringe all-star. Just like CJ is. Mm-hmm. But people act like he's some sort of superstar level player. I don't get it.
So, what do you think of this? Brandon G in the comments says that he would rather have Simmons than Embiid. If you had your choice, would you agree with that?
Hell no.
Man, or that Simmons is a better fit with Dame than Embiid? I think that's crazy.
No.
Embiid, the only reason that is not the case is because of durability with Embiid. But fit-wise with Dame, Embiid would be great with Dame. That would be an awesome
phenomenal. It would be the best
If
pick
healthy.
and roll duo in the entire NBA. Like, by far. Dame already might be the best pick and roll ball handler, and then you got a guy that shot 38% from three, was like automatic from mid-range, can finish at the rim, can short roll and kick. Like,
okay. Wait, real quick. Okay, I messed that up. He said he's a better fit with Dame than he would be with Simmons. Or with Embiid.
Okay.
With Embiid. So, my bad.
Oh, Dame's a better fit. Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I was surprised at that take. Dang, yeah.
I'm sorry, Brandon. I apologize. I misread that. I'm trying to read chat and stuff. But I just read it as Simmons would be a better
don't get
fit
offended by that. Nobody's doing that on purpose, man. Nobody's trying to put words in your mouth on purpose. Nobody cares that much, man.
Don't
get offended. Yeah, don't get offended at that. Yeah, 100%. But here's the thing: is a lot of players are going to be better fits next to Dame than Simmons, because Simmons can't play off of the other guy. That's the problem you run into. Like, Simmons almost has to be the number one, and if he's not the number one, then it's going to be a weird fit because he can't. Like, he's not as good playing off of somebody. You know? So that's the thing with Embiid. Embiid can play off of somebody, he can play with the ball, that type of stuff. So, anyway. I mean, like, if Embiid was gettable, I'd be interested in Embiid. Like I said, you need to raise the ceiling. I know he's injury prone, but if you had Embiid and Dame, you'd have a chance of winning the championship if both were healthy. You'd be a contender. So, like, Embiid isn't available, though. But since we're on the topic, I mean, Embiid per 36 this year. Have you seen how insane his stats were? Mm-hmm. 33 points per game, 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 blocks. Shooting 54% from 2, 38% from 3, 64 true shooting percentage. Shooting-wise, 50% from 16 feet out to the three-point line, 48% from 10 to 16 feet. So phenomenal mid-range shooter.
Yeah, I mean, if Philadelphia wants to be dumb and trade us Embiid, that'd be good.
Yeah. But anyway.
I don't know. If they lose this series, I don't know if you can come back with that duo again.
Yeah. But what do you do if you're them?
I don't know.
Who's running them in the mock off season, by the way? Because, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do.
I think it's Chris Stevens, actually.
Chris Stevens?
And
Chris Stevens in here.
And he had, I think he said he had one of his friends was a huge 76ers fan, so he was getting, he's in here.
He can bounce, you can bounce ideas off of him. That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's tough. I mean, if they lose as the 1 seed to a freaking Atlanta Hawks team, like, I don't know if there's a way to recover from that, but basically they messed up when they didn't just give in to whatever the Rockets wanted for Harden, in my opinion. They should have given up Simmons and Maxey and picks or whatever, and they could have gone into this with Harden and Embiid, and I think they would have been much better off for it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, like, not even... Yeah, and you could have probably kept Harris in that. Mm-hmm. Ugh, that would have been dirty. They would have been the top team in the East. They would have been better than Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But that was a mistake by them. They needed to trade Simmons. Now it's kind of at the point, like, you just got to... I mean, this offseason, I think they have to just see what they can get for Simmons.
Rehire Sam Hinkie and just trust the process again?
Yeah. I mean, like, even if they make the Eastern Conference Finals and then lose, the fact that they ended up having to beat Atlanta in 7 games shows you that this roster construction is not as good as they thought themselves, most likely. You know what I mean? So it's a situation where you just gotta see what's available. Even if you don't necessarily plan on trading Ben Simmons, you just gotta see what's out there. Because there's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. Teams trying to win are going to be interested in him, despite all these flaws that he's showcasing right now. And teams trying to rebuild are probably going to be interested in him because he's young enough. So do you go out and get a Pascal Siakam? Do you go out and get, like if Paul George is available, say Kawhi leaves. Paul George might be available. The Clippers could have some interest in Ben Simmons. There's a lot of different things that they could do. And they still got, other options around the roster.
Doc Rivers.
Paul George, Doc Rivers can't avoid him, man. But yeah, it's gonna be a situation where I think they have to shop him no matter what, unless they win a championship. I just don't see how they're gonna win a championship with their second best or maybe third best. I don't know. The fact that you might put Tobias over him is kind of crazy. But most people think Ben Simmons is their second best player, and he's kind of unplayable in the last 5 minutes of games right now. It's not a good situation. So,
yep.
Other series, I mean, the Suns have won, and we'll talk more. We can talk more about the Suns once we know their next matchup, and maybe once we know more about the Chris Paul situation.
Yeah, that's tough for them. I feel so bad for our Phoenix Suns fans.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Chris Paul's so unlucky, dude. Like, personally, I don't really like Chris Paul, but, I mean, I feel bad for him. The dude can't catch a break. So, we'll talk more about that. We got a stream on Monday, the 21st, and then we got a stream on Tuesday because we're going to stream the draft lottery. So, we can talk more about the Suns situation then. So there's only one other series going on right now. That's the Clippers taking a 3-2 lead against Utah. Utah won the first 2 games, and I thought they had control of this series, Eric. The Clippers have won the last 3. The Clippers are without Kawhi Leonard, which is something we haven't talked about, but they still won Game 5 on the road in Utah, behind playoff P. I mean, I have to call him that because he led them to a win over Utah without Kawhi Leonard. I mean, shoot, the Clippers lead 3-2. It sounds like Kawhi's not going to be back in this series. I still think Utah has a chance to win Game 6. If they win Game 6, I think Utah, I'm leaning towards picking Utah. Game 7 at home without Kawhi, I would take Utah into Game 7. So it kind of comes down to Game 6. The Clippers can close this out, make the Western Conference Finals. They can finally, Eric, get rid of those demons and finally make a conference finals. Or they lose and they're going up into Game 7 probably without Kawhi in Utah. Very tough task. It's an interesting series. I'm rooting for Utah. What are your takes on it?
Yeah, I'm also rooting for Utah. I obviously want the Clippers to blow the team up in offseason as well. The more teams that we have that happen to, the better, in my opinion, in terms of if we want to have one of those home run trades that everyone wants to have happen. But yeah, I was surprised that the Clippers went into Utah and got that done without Kawhi last night. They just hit big shots. Reggie Jackson was really good in the second half. And yeah, guys stepped up. And Utah, they didn't play very well. And yeah, they're going to be kicking themselves that they missed out on a golden opportunity, especially if Chris Paul misses a few games in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it doesn't get much better of an opportunity than Utah possibly had in front of them if they're ever going to get it done in a small market. And if they choke that away, that's going to be a tough pill for that franchise to swallow.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm on Twitter and getting annoyed at Twitter. But anyway, you want to take questions from chat? Chat,
Sure.
we'll take questions. We'll take questions. Well, I just tweet this back. Yeah, any question you have about the mock off season, if you're a participant, or about the Blazers, we'll take questions for like 5 minutes and we'll wrap up this stream. By the way, let me just say this because some people really don't understand. We don't care enough to purposely misinterpret something you say or purposely misread something. My goodness, man. That's what I'm talking about on Twitter. I'm annoyed right now. But I mean, it's same thing, different day, same stuff with yikes. Never mind. I ain't even gonna go there. I mean, Eric, I thought that after Stotts getting fired, Twitter was gonna be better. It's still not, sadly. It might be worse at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's like worse because I thought it would be better. When I expected it to be bad, it was kind of just like whatever. When I thought it was going to be better after Stotts was gone. And it's not. It's not. Oh, it's bad, bro. So, yeah, that's been disappointing. How do player options work in the mock offseason? Krish is asking. Do you want to answer that, Eric? Because I know we've gotten a couple questions.
On just a second. I'm responding to that person on Twitter as we speak.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry about that to your radar. Yeah, I'm responding. Well, I mean, it's just bull. Oh, God.
I just put big difference between misreading something in chat and making stuff up. I immediately corrected what you said, and when I realized and apologized, no need for the drama. But yeah. Some people. I'm not
gonna say anything because that's
freaking drama queens, man.
Mm-hmm.
That whole group.
Just people.
I just want to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Go off, Eric.
That group is freaking making up rumors because they hate Olshey. They want so badly for those rumors that there's all this dissension in the front office. Oh, Jody now hates Olshey, and Bert Cold and Jody Allen are running the coaching search now and are going to go above Olshey, and they're going to choose someone different than Olshey wants to go with. And if Olshey tries to try to get his guy Billups, he's going to get fired and all that crap. That's all lies, man. If that was true, Olshey would have been fired too. They would have just fired him. Why would they keep him around to run a coaching search that they don't want him running? Like, that makes no sense. You guys are listening to a source that is literally making crap up, and you guys all bit it hook, line, and sinker. Every single one of you anti-Olshey people. And I'm not even saying that like Olshey like deserves to stay or deserves to fire. But every single person who hates Olshey is now on this narrative that Jody and Bert Cole don't like Olshey, and there's this rift in the front office, and like they're just like it ends, and they're not seeing eye to eye on this coaching search, and it was obviously Jody who called Bert Cole who called Spoelstra. It couldn't have possibly been Olshey who wanted to get the best possible coach, knowing his job is on the freaking line, and if he doesn't hire a good coach, that he's done with his job, he's going to get fired. But now it's just going to be like he's just going to hire some random person because he just wants to spite like the front office or something. Like, that makes no sense. He's done if he doesn't hire a good coach and have a good season. He is going to want to hire the best possible person. And for all these people to just be like, trust me, bro, I have sources, trust me. Like, those guys have never broken a story in their entire existence of media. Our media, I'm sorry, but they suck. Mm-hmm. They suck. They don't break stories. It's always woes or shams. The next time they are right about a rumor or something like that, it is going to be correct. And for them to tell me like, oh, dude, like we have legit sources. Oh, and it's like NBA Central and it's some dudes from Miami who backtracked immediately off of their statements, and then Travis Demers comes out and says it's not true and all that crap. It just drives me crazy, man. It's like you guys want so badly for there to be a rift. But if that was true, why would they have not fired Olshey? That makes no sense. It does not make sense at all. If you think about it logically for 1 second, you would realize that it's not true and that those guys are literally making this rumor up so that they have more ammo for their fire Olshey crap. And it's just stupid. I mean, they make it seem like Olshey is like the worst GM of all time. He's done a good job. He has brought in talent, especially since the death of Paul Allen. If you want to make that distinction between pre-Paul Allen death and post-Paul Allen death, I think he has done actually a very good, above average, at the very least, job in putting talent and making moves and trades and stuff like that. And it's just like these guys act like he's just trying to mess things up on purpose, and he doesn't want to make any moves, and he never does anything, and then he's going to hire someone that just because he's their buddy, and it's not even because he wants to hire a good coach. It's just stupid, man. I'm sick of all of it, and people are literally making up crap now just to tear the guy down. Like, if you have plenty of ammo, if you want to argue that he should be fired, fine, but don't like make up something where there's this rift there just because like you want him fired. And also, like, they've had nothing but good things to say about each other this whole time. Like, he's been nothing but complimentary about Jody Ellen. He said time and time again she's been willing to do whatever it takes, and she wants to see results. So we've heard that. And the two people who I actually trust in this situation, Jason Quick and Dwight Jaynes, they haven't said anything about any of these rumors or anything like that. Why is that? Why is it, if this is true, why haven't those two mentioned a word about it? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And you know why that is? Because those anti-Olshey people hate those two too. They hate Quick. The person we were just talking about, that guy has called out Quick time and time again on Twitter. And you know what? They both hate those two reporters and think they're just like mouthpieces for Olshey or whatever. And it's crazy.
You know what's funny, Eric? We got labeled as the people that were too negative because we didn't like Stotts, right? But now it's a situation where you got still two sides of the coin, okay? Mm-hmm. The other side of the coin from us is the side that thinks the roster is like bad or mediocre or just kind of trash.
Yep.
They hate Olshey. They hate Olshey. They hate the roster. We're sitting here like, we like the roster. We don't think Olshey is terrible. We don't blindly hate him. And, we're excited for a new coach because we think that with a new coach, we could do some good things here in Rip City, right? But we're the negative ones. It's funny how now it's like, because we don't blindly hate Olshey, we're labeled as pro-Olshey. The most memeable clip in my YouTube career, Eric, is me getting pissed off at Neil Olshey. I am not pro-Olshey. I am just realistic. I know the CBA, and I'm not going to blindly hate on him. You have so many people out here that hate Olshey so much, they will scratch and claw for any justification to their hate. They will scratch and claw for any sort of narrative that they like. And what they like is a narrative that goes against Olshey. So that's what you have here. All of a sudden, there's this magical rift that is formed, and ownership is going to go over Olshey's head. Olshey, like, if you listen to these guys that hate Olshey, you would think Olshey isn't even run the coaching search anymore, Eric. Mm-hmm. Like, but yeah, I mean, if they
two coaching searches going on, because how did he interview Hammond and Billups while that was all going on? If it makes no sense.
How are we running two coaching sources at the searches at the same time? That's impressive. We're going to hire two coaches, bro. I guess it's going to come out a situation, according to these Olshey haters, man, where we're going to hire two different coaches on the same day, and then it's going to be a bunch of confusion. That'll be fun.
So
like, Shams is going to announce that we hired Chauncey Billups, and Woj is going to announce that we hired Mike D'Antoni. That's going to be phenomenal, man. That's basically what these Olshey haters are saying is the situation here, man. It's ridiculous. They're essentially saying that ownership's going over Olshey's head, but that doesn't make sense because Olshey's interviewing candidates as well. It doesn't. None of their narrative makes sense. I'm just tired of people that can't see reason because they're too biased one way or the other. Because when it came to Stotts, we always put out phenomenal reasons out there. We always backed up everything we said with basketball takes, right? Like, we backed up the reasons for not liking him. Now it's like you got people hating on Olshey when they don't even know anything about the CBA. They're hating on him for not doing things that he wasn't even allowed to do under the CBA. They're hating on him because they think he didn't offer CJ in a James Harden trade, even though he would have had to trade CJ in a Harden trade. It's just ridiculous at this point. And then since we don't buy that, like you said, Eric, hook, line, and sinker, we're somehow pro Olshey because we don't blindly hate him. I mean, that's basically the fan base right now, the position that Blazers Twitter is in. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. So, yeah.
All right. So now I got a response. I bounced after that and announced I was bouncing, but thanks for the backhanded apology.
Yeah, I mean, just honestly, if I were you, I'd just block them. I mean, I'm done dealing. I'm just done dealing with the same people that it's just always drama, it's always problems, it's always something. And it's always people like, I don't know. I mean, dude, like, you misread what he said. You've been more than fair to him. I mean, I don't know. It's just drama. I don't know. Good old Blazers Twitter. We I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Chat. What are your guys' thoughts on anything?
The same shit he did when, so that stuff I said about Dame not playing the whole first half, and then he was like wanted to apologize to him, and then he blocked me because like I was like, no, I'm telling you, like, this is how I feel or whatever, and he said that I was wrong about it. It's so dumb. Like, I misread what you said. I chat's moving fast. It's not as fast as post game, but I thought that's what you said, and I went with it. I'm sorry. I like it brought up a conversation. When I saw that that's not what he said, when people started saying that, I immediately went back and read it and changed my mind. That's not a backhanded apology. I said I was sorry. Like, I misread it, dude. You're a baby, man. You're a freaking baby, dude. So much drama, man.
Eric. Just like with Olshey, there are going to be certain people where they will jump on you the first time, like anytime you make a mistake, right? And try and make you out to look bad. Mm-hmm. There are people that will do that towards you, towards me, towards anybody with any sort of platform. And he's one of those guys for you. He's one of those guys towards you. I mean, you like, if I don't even get, I don't know. I'm kind of worked up about it because it's like towards you, but it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, man. So I wouldn't be too worked up about it. If I were you, I would try not to. I mean, it's just, when it comes to that guy, and when it comes to a couple other people in regards to me as well, you're just never right. And you can never do enough to satisfy them. And that's what they call haters, Eric. That's what they call haters.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're the type that are like outspoken when it comes to that. So we'll end up on stream like ranting about just a random person. We don't even talk Blazers anymore. I mean, that's just how we are, you know, and I know some people don't necessarily like that, but I mean, we're outspoken and we don't like people being like that towards us, so we'll stand up for ourselves and stand up for each other and stand up for you guys, you know, if we know you guys and we see you on Twitter and that type of stuff. I mean, that's just the way we are. For better or worse. As
Gordon posted, like, it's not like I called him a name or something. It was, we were talking about his opinion or whatever, and then when I realized his opinion was wrong, I corrected what he said, like, and I apologized for it. So, like, yes, man, that's crazy to me. But yeah, it's not like I called him an idiot or something. Like, yeah, I mean, I did call him a baby way after he responded to me because he is being a baby. But like,
yep. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, dude, you apologize. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so there's our drama, chat. I know you guys miss Eric ranting. Thank you to the situation for getting Eric to rant about something, because I've missed it. I know you guys have probably missed it. Next season we might not get that much ranting, Eric, since we should have hopefully a good coach. So we needed some drama. We're YouTubers. That's what we thrive off of. That's our, that's our fuel, so to say. So.
JM, the first hour or so of this show, we went pretty in deep on the coaching stuff. If you want to go back,
I said my number one target as well. The number one guy I'd hire. We talked about why that might not be the case because Shervin was dropping some facts in chat. Shout out to you, Shervins. I always thought Shervins was plural, and it's actually not. Shervin. My bad.
It's Shervin. Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, almost all those people I was just talking about all want Carlisle now and think you're stupid if you don't want Carlisle. Like, it's so dumb. Like show me you don't actually know X's and O's or schemes or watch basketball, which is fine. Like, you have no problem with that, but don't try to tell us that we're wrong or whatever, like, or we don't know what we're talking about or we're idiots or whatever, when like we're here like giving explanations. We always back up what we say and all that kind of stuff. So it's just funny. Like, it's like a group think of like the dumbest things, like, just like all those guys put together. It's drives me crazy.
Yep. Anyway, we'll take a couple more questions from chat before we wrap it up. We will drop another mailbag on Monday. I dropped the last one midweek, so didn't drop one this Monday. Dropped a Trade Talk Tuesday. If you haven't watched that, I dropped a video on CJ Trades over on the main channel. Monday we'll be streaming at 9:30 like usual. And then, what time is the draft lottery? Does anybody know what exact time the draft lottery is? Because we'll go live like right before that starts. Are you going to be able to make that stream on Tuesday?
I will not. It starts at 5:30. I was going to say if it started at 4:30, I might be able to, but I will not be a part of that.
We'll be live around like 5:15 or so. I'll try and get Gabe on for you guys as the number 2 to fill in. I think the Suns might be playing right after that too, so it's probably going to be a little shorter stream, but we'll start it a little bit before the lottery. We can talk a little bit about their upcoming matchup against the Clippers or the Jazz, and then watch the draft lottery, and then the trade window will open for the mock off season, and I'll announce that live on air when the trade window opens. So then you guys can start making deals. That's the funnest part about the mock off season. So,
yep. And just for everyone's knowledge, I've taken my daughter down to visit campus next week, and I planned it on a Tuesday, Wednesday, so I wouldn't miss stream or whatever, but then I forgot about the draft lottery, or it hadn't been announced at the time when we got our
Eric, I think you're just making that up, man. Yeah. You just make everything up, dude.
Yep. Sources close to me.
Sources. You sound like a Portland reporter, man. Shoot, I mean, sometimes I wonder if I get more information off an internet forum than our local reporters do, Eric.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's bad. It's bad, but I don't know. I can respect the reporters that it's just like they don't act like they know something unless they know something. But then, like, I don't know. It's almost like a lot of our reporters just like, sources confirm Woj's report. How many times have you seen that? Sources confirm Woj's report is true. Yeah. Like, bro, nobody needed...
Like, anyone could... Like, 99.9% of the time you can tweet that if you see a Woj tweet and you'll be right. So, like, chances are you can just tweet that and be lucky.
Ben says, do you see Barstool's discussing most popular team of each state that they post on Twitter? I believe that was teams remaining. Suns were for Oregon and Jazz were for Washington. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Because that's the thing is, like, you have a lot of people in Washington that probably aren't, I don't know. You probably got people in Washington that are Jazz fans that moved up to Washington from Utah. So that's probably why it's Utah for Washington. For Oregon, it was Suns probably just because of Valley Podcast, to be honest. So those guys turned Oregon orange. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
It was for every fan base. Oh, no, I haven't seen the one for every fan base. I just saw remaining teams or whatever.
Gordon says that he feels like a boomer sometimes with the problem is, like, most of the guys I'm arguing with are my age. It's kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
Or older than me,
yeah. Yeah. That side, yeah. Yikes. What do we think of a Mike Brown? We talked about Mike Brown a bit earlier, Gordon.
You said as an assistant. I don't,
as an assistant. Oh, got you.
I don't think we're gonna get. He said D'Antoni too earlier. I don't think we're gonna get those guys as an assistant. And anyone who has a high level assistant job right now I doubt would come here as an assistant to a young coach. But go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was
Oh,
just gonna say I don't hate D'Antoni if he has a really good assistant. I don't necessarily like it, but if he had like a Mike Brown or like a great defensive coach as an assistant, I wouldn't necessarily hate it.
I just don't see Mike Brown like leaving for the same position in Golden State like we talked about earlier. Like coaches seem to do with Stotts, but I think the best case scenario would be if we got like a Chauncey Billups or someone or an Ime Udoka to bring in a Steve Clifford or that level of coach. You're not going to get like an elite ex-head coach, but someone who has been a head coach, not been terrible, but can be a decent enough defensive assistant, that kind of thing. So, yeah, like I think that's like the best case scenario is someone on that tier, not necessarily Clifford, but someone in that range. You're not going to get like Mike Brown or D'Antoni or like a current coach. Like if Budenholzer's fired, he's not going to come be an assistant coach here or something, you know.
Yep. Is Mike Conley coming back? I'm not sure. It's probably a better question for Google News or something. I don't know. That's probably something to Google because I'm not entirely sure what his status is. They need him back though. If you win a championship, it means you're amazing, though, Eric, just like Kyle Kuzma. Let's see. There's a question I missed.
Well,
somebody asked if Dame was gonna be the second in all-time threes. I mean, it's possible, but the league is getting more and more three-point heavy, so it's like if he got to say it, there's a chance he'd be passed up right after that. So
it's just
you're gonna have a lot of
guys like Reggie Miller and Ray Allen will get passed up when if they were playing today, probably would put up the same amount of threes. That's some of those guys.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be tough. Like Klay Thompson missing 2 years hurts him. But yeah, he'll definitely finish top 5 for the end of his career. But yeah, who knows in the future if it stays pretty 3-point heavy. Probably see him and all the guys in this range passed, except for maybe Curry, because I mean, I don't know. It's going to be pretty hard to match a lot of what was said about him, or it's going to be hard to match all his numbers, like 10 threes a game and that kind of stuff. But yeah, Thomas was asking, and then Shervin followed it up about why we kind of soured on Billups based on his analysis. He was like doing or color commentating for ESPN on some games, and I just remember him being like really in love with some kind of scrub players or something. I don't remember the exact thing, but at the time it was there was this thought that he was going to get hired as Olshey's assistant GM or possibly be groomed to take over for GM for Olshey. Yeah, so it was more like his personnel decisions. Watching some of his videos on his philosophies and how he emphasizes passing and stuff like that, I don't know. I'm torn on him. And then you have the allegations and stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not against Billups, but I'm not like super like, yeah, let's get him. He's my number one guy either. So I'm fine either way. But it's another one of those things I wish I could be in the interview process to see what he said.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna wrap up this stream. Now you got the guy pretending like it wasn't about you, Eric. If you want to follow us on Twitter, I'm at Tory Jones YT. Eric is at Hoofshop. You can keep up with all our adventures on Blazers Twitter, because it's always a fun time over there. We will be live again on Monday. Might try and drop a video this weekend. Might ask you guys on Twitter what you guys want to see video-wise. For the earlier question about Mike Conley, shout out Iverson Vlogs. He says Mark Stein says Conley and Mitchell are both questionable tomorrow. They need Mitchell, and they might need Mike Conley as well. So we'll see how that game goes. I tweet about general NBA stuff all the time on my Twitter page, so you can go follow me there, and make sure to follow Eric as well. You can follow the channel at Blazers YT so you can stay up to date with everything that we drop. And with that, that's a wrap. Anything left to plug, Eric?
Nope. I hope everyone has a great evening and rest of your week, or whatever time of day it is for you guys. And thanks for letting me rant a little bit. Felt good to get it out.
Yep. Anyway, Eric needed a good rant. Shout out to the person that got it out of his system. So anyway, we will be... Go
real
ahead.
Quick, I agree with Gordon. Okay, some people are going at him in the... Let's just leave him alone. Like,
yeah, I mean... Yeah, I don't know. It's tough when people come in our chat, people that are like well-known by our chat or well-known on Blazers Twitter and whatnot, and then they like, there's some issue, and then they take to Blazers Twitter and start talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like, especially on a stream like this where we're already just kind of loose and laid back and enjoying our stream, to have somebody come in and pull that stuff is just kind of ridiculous. And we're also outspoken, so we'll end up talking about it. But that doesn't mean that people, like, we don't want you guys like witch hunting or going out and like attacking people. You can respectively let people know what you think about something they're saying on Twitter. I'm not, trying to completely censor you guys. Just, we don't want people going out and just berating, insulting people and being like over the top disrespectful to people on our behalf. I feel like I haven't made that clear enough in the past, and it's caused some issues. So that's all I'm gonna say. You know what I mean? There's people that'll always kind of cause drama with us, and I don't know, we're not one to shy away. But we don't want you guys to just be over the top disrespectful, if that makes sense. We would appreciate that. We let us rant about them, and yeah, I don't know. I know you guys like a good Eric Brandt rant, so just sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy it next time it happens. But yeah, anyway, anything else, Eric?
Nope. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate it, and looking forward to the mock-off season and getting some trades going. I'm itchy, man. I want to like contact people and do stuff, but yeah. In case you are in the mock-off season and you are in need of a new coach or are thinking about firing your coach, if you fire your coach, talk to Tori. If you want to hire someone, since Tori is in the market for a new head coach, just message me on Discord with who you are courting. I will let you know if you get hired, or if the guy you want gets hired by you or not, and then I'll message that to Tori. We do have some people who have been highly coveted so far. So if you are in need of a head coach, please message me as soon as possible so I can make the decision on what that guy or girl's decision will be. And yeah, so just make sure you message me so we can get the coaching situations all taken care of.
Yep. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the stream. We will see you later. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.